Hello, Chris. Could you give an introduction about yourself?
What is going on, everybody? Thank you for having me first off. My name is Chris Myers, aka Coach Mayhem. I am a sponsored athlete, a fitness model, an affiliate marketer, amongst a million other things.
Okay, I love the energy. Could you explain how you got into the fitness industry? What what was the mindset there for doing so?
So, without getting into a massive backstory, because I would need an extra 15, 20 minutes, I
Do it.
have been
No,
shot.
actually,
I've
do
been
it.
blown up.
Do it.
You want me to do it?
Do it.
All right. So I have been shot. My heart has stopped. I literally had my heart failure. Somebody put a bunch of drugs in my drink and then later shot me up with a bunch of meth, carfentanil, and heroin in an attempt to rob me and obviously kill me because if I was left alive, then they would have serious issues left over. So without expanding on that, I've been run over on my motorcycle multiple times. I think I mentioned I had been shot a couple times as well, but if I had, there it is again. I have been in every situation that I shouldn't have been able to come back from. At one point, doctors, because of where I was shot, thought I wouldn't walk again. I was shot in my hip and I couldn't feel like there was a lot of nerves in the area where the bullet struck. And then unfortunately it was a hollow point. So it went everywhere and I couldn't feel my legs for the first 12 hours, 18 hours, something like that. And they said that there's a chance that I might not be able to walk if that doesn't come back because I could barely even move my leg, let alone anything else. So, and I was 26 at that time, so that was horrifying. I was in the military before this, so I've already had this like I'm not willing to quit mentality. And with that, I'm extremely grateful for being in a bad area and then going into the military, knowing what can happen if you're willing to work hard enough to overcome obstacles, whether that being in your personal life, your physical, like where you're physically at in life. So I knew if I really worked my ass off that I could get out of there. So let me fast forward. I won't get into too many more of the events. You can actually watch a video about my life on YouTube over at Coach Mayhem underscore official. That'll go into way more detail. So let's fast forward. I around 2017, 2018, I really started taking fitness more seriously. I had everybody from every which way telling me, "Hey, you can't do this. You need to take it easy." I mean, I heard it all. Like I heard I'll never have a six pack because of the gunshot wounds where I've been cut open so many times. And I just wasn't willing to hear it. Like I was 26, 27, 28. I'm still pissing fire from the military. And on top of everything else, I'm upset. I can't sleep. I'm in Dayton, Ohio. I live in a terrible area. Like I couldn't tell really a difference from the military and getting shot at to my neighborhood and being shot at. And it was a very bleak existence and very a depressing surrounding to begin with. So I just stayed in the gym, man. Like luckily I did get hurt in the military, so I do have all my health care. I got a place to stay. I don't have to worry about much. So I just spent as much time as I could in the military, or I'm sorry, not in the military, in the gym, getting my body as strong as I could because that was the only time that little bit of relief, that 2 hours after the gym, the high from feeling good about yourself was the only time that I actually had really felt good about myself in a while. So it almost became like an addiction to where I just kept going. I would go twice a day and stay there for 2, 3 hours at a time. I mean, I've got the time. I'm up 18 hours a day. I went to college for fitness. I ended up dropping out over some crazy instances. I had two nutrition teachers that were massively overweight. And then I had a biochem teacher that was just, uh, if she wasn't smoking meth, she doesn't belong around students because that lady was so gone that this is a biochem class. I'm in there with nurses and two other trainers, and they're teaching us about hair follicles. Now, granted, I was in the military, my school's free, but you ain't about to sit there and waste my time. And then on top of that, I was making more than my teachers for the position that I wanted anyway. So you can't tell me that college is all this and that. Maybe for a doctor, maybe a lawyer. Yeah, these are important things to go for. But I can tell you from my personal opinion and several people that I know very well, have had a very similar college experience. Like, how are you going to teach me to be fit, healthy, and live a healthy lifestyle if you yourself aren't that? So this only pissed me off more and lit more of a fire under my ass and made me want it that much more because my surroundings wasn't giving it to me. So I found some people that know what they were doing. Luckily, I had some friends that really pushed me into the bodybuilding. I don't want to say circuit. I've never actually competed. I've never really had much of a desire to. Once I found that I could actually make money from fitness doing something I love. I ended up having a job as a personal trainer for 6 years, 12-hour days, 8 on Saturday, getting paid crap, like absolute crap. I think my best month I maybe have made $5,000. And you think that sounds good. It's not. Like 12 hours every day for 6 days. And if I'm lucky, that 6 day is an 8-hour day. So it's like, where's my life? Where do I even get to go enjoy that? The money the little that I did make, I don't. It goes to bills and more food. So speeding up to about 2019, I had really got my ass in gear. I had learned through a company much like the real world. I was very, very fortunate to learn a lot about the fitness industry and different products, supplements, hormones, you name it. Like we learned it all. It was like a crash course into fitness. I learned more in that than I did in school, period, over the year and some change I was there. So coming full circle, working out at a gym, I kept running across videos of this guy named Rich Piana, and I realized that there were people out here making money off of fitness, off of social media, that their lives were completely different. So, how do I want to put this? It's such a long, drawn out story, it's kind of hard to. When I Well, let me put it to you this way. In 2019, that's when I realized that I wanted to do more with fitness than just be a personal trainer. So I started working my ass off to find people in the space that I could talk to. Obviously not big people because who's gonna, talk to me. I was lucky to find a mentor and have a couple friends, like I mentioned earlier, that pushed me into bodybuilding. And without these two guys, one of them was completely instrumental to everything I'm doing now. He just kind of showed me what was up and he expected me to do all the work, which I'm grateful for. So if I really had to give a one word answer of why I was in this industry to begin with, it all happened because I was stubborn and wouldn't take no for an answer. I wanted more for my life. And I've worked so hard at it up until the point where I've actually created a career path for myself because I do have such a crazy story. And much like Tate says, it is like you create your surroundings. You have the ability if you're going to do the work. I may not be the most talented, but I was working harder than people in my area. So it got me out of that terrible area in Dayton and Cincinnati, Ohio. Thank God I live in Florida now. So let's come up to speed. I've become a sponsored athlete now. I'm a fitness model. I was scrolling through Instagram 18 months ago, and I'll never forget it. I was sitting on the beach, and I was scrolling through Instagram and found Tate. And just listening to the way he talked, I was like, wait a minute, this guy isn't anything like any of the other. I don't like calling him an influencer. I hate the term. I don't even like calling myself an influencer. I just tell you what's up, and I respect that. So I found these videos and I started watching more and more and more. And the same video that I was telling you about, and I was telling all you guys to go watch on YouTube, I sent to him. And he was like, yo, why aren't you in this? Why aren't you in, the Hustlers University, the real world? I was like, you know what? You're right. I should be doing X, Y, Z. And once I got in there, things just kind of snowballed for me. Like I already had worked so hard and got myself I mean, up, let's call it up the ladder. I'm finally, looking down. I can see where I was at and I'm like, oh my God, this is world of difference. I'm feeling good. But now I've realized that there's a whole other part of the mountain, a whole other part of the ladder that I got to go climb up. And now I'm getting to the point where I need friends because I don't know what the hell I'm doing. And I've met some amazing connections through the real world that I wish I would have had this when I first went into business for myself, because I'd be a multi-millionaire right now, because the connections, the network is absolutely priceless. And for $50 a month, um, I honestly feel cheated that I even bothered with college, because it was, they even have fitness rooms in there, which I absolutely love. Like, I don't get time to spend a lot. Blah, I said that all backwards. I don't get a lot of time to spend in there because I am so busy all the time with everything I have going on. But I couldn't think of a better place to spend $50 a month to learn all these different ways to make money. And I mean, think about that. Think about having the ability to learn all that for just $50 blew my mind. I was like, okay, so of course I immediately thought, all right, well, what if it is a scam? And then my next immediately thought after that was, I mean, I've of course watched Tate for, I don't know, 3 months. I'm like, so the guy with Bugattis and the guy that's already a multi-millionaire owns casinos. You really think he wants my $50 and that's not generosity and just covering an operating cost, if you will? So in my head, I was like, well, you got to pay to learn, and this looks like a better setup. And I'm so grateful that I took that. I wish I would have done it sooner or known about it sooner. And like I said earlier, I really wish it would have been out 5 years ago, 4 years ago, when I first went into business for myself. Would have made things a lot easier. So that is the whole rundown and the long part, I guess you could say, how I got into the fitness industry, how I ended up in Hustlers University, and how I'm talking to you.
Okay, thank you for that. I'll go back to some of the things you said earlier a bit later in the interview. For now, I want to follow this full process of what
Look up.
campus did you get into when you joined the real world?
Okay, so I first started with affiliate marketing because I figured that is literally just selling with words. And as an influencer, that's pretty much what I'm doing, either whether it's on camera, whether it's an email, text, and or my posts. So I went through that course. Now, me personally, I'm very hyper, I'm very energetic, and I don't sit down well. So So it was kind of a struggle for me to get through that course, and Dylan was very, very helpful with me because he knew the direction I was trying to head. So I was learning to kind of know and understand the process of what goes into like the email marketing, because I had no idea. I would get these emails, but I thought that somebody actually had to type all that out other than write copy and then send it out to people. Like, that sounds dumb, but I had no idea how any of that worked. Like, not a technical person like that. So, and then once I started to realize, okay, now I don't want to be a copywriter, but this is definitely knowledge I need to know for how I'm formulating my post, how I'm speaking, how I do write my emails that are sales. So it helped tremendously. Now, obviously, I've got a lot of help now to write these same things, but I moved on over to the affiliate marketing course, completely different thing, um, from the
Freelancing campus.
the freelancing campus. So I liked affiliate marketing, and I started in there with um, Mr. It is Walker, right?
Luke teaches that.
Luke, Luke, Luke. Um, So I started in there with Luke, started really learning how to make videos, how to make them good, what the captions are all about, like how in depth that they were was actually kind of mind blowing. It was a hustle to get through. I'm not gonna BS. Like, that was pretty intense. Like, that was 8 hours of my day that I had to make sure that I had locked down and dedicated just for that. And then I was trying to do my own content on top of it. So I've gotten into some other courses. I haven't really delved into them a lot, but the affiliate marketing course and then the freelancing and copywriting course, I was in for the freelancing for 4 or 5 months. Well, let's say for the 4. And then I'm in the affiliate marketing now. I actually just switched to the content creation, the AI. obviously, because that's way up more my alley for what I'm doing. I still have to do a lot of my reels, a lot of my edits. I'm not making the money where I need to be yet to be hiring somebody, but that's coming soon.
Okay. So, in terms of monetary figures, how did the real world contribute, and what did it contribute to, and how much did you make because of it?
Okay, so there isn't an aspect that it didn't touch because I was still doing things. I don't want to say an old way, but it was outdated. I was kind of working harder than I needed to accomplish the same thing with just some minor tools like, for instance, AI, Chat GPT, all these amazing tools that I didn't have anybody to teach me. So not only am I now saving time, which is obviously money, it it helps me make money faster to where I can now, instead of doing tedious little things like writing a script or writing, a blog post or a tweet, I can literally plug it into these simple tools. And without these tools that do my post for me, I would have had no clue without the real world and knowing how all these things operate. I literally had a lot to implement throughout everything, through it being my social media, my email marketing, how I'm actually packaging what I'm selling, like $1,500 for a 3 month training courses. So some people, a lot of money. So knowing how to speak to these people and be convincing. And then on top of that, I've always been good on camera, so I can't say that it's helped, but it's definitely helped me in the way that I speak to make sure that I'm not only coming across clear and concise, but as well that I'm very articulated about what I'm saying and who I'm saying it to. So I not only build trust with that person, but rapport as well, because that's going to equate to dollars at the end of the day. So I've learned that from Arno, from Dylan, like just even in the way, like, I don't think they even taught me these things directly. I just watched their videos, their long form content. Michael J. Ringer is another one. I listen to the way they speak, the way they talk when they're talking about sales. Like, I already have the energy part down. People like energy. So now I needed to, like, what are the right words to say? What do I stay away from? And that literally just what I told you there, I've been able to kind of like in a shotgun blast translate that to everything I'm doing, videos, content, the way my posts are written out to sell. Um, I mean, it's almost hard to tell you them all because there's so many like, I catch myself now even thinking of doing things I would like the old way, like 2, 3 years ago. And I'm like, no, that ain't right. So it's just so hard to kind of quantify like, oh, I've done this and it's literally touched everything. And
Hmm.
that's why.
Okay. So, if you were to estimate roughly how much it helped monetarily bring in income, what would you say for that?
Well, two of my businesses here with the COVID thing, and then obviously we've had a lot of economic issues starting with a couple years ago. My business was doing really, really well before all like COVID and all this extra, and it took a massive dive. Obviously, with people not having the money, things became very. It wasn't easy money anymore, and having Hustlers University around to kind of show me what to do. In a 6 month time period, I went from making maybe a thousand or two a month out of one of my businesses, all the way up to, like I said earlier, 50 grand in 6 months.
Hmm.
So, and when things are bad here, I can only imagine what things will be like when our economy is good again.
Hmm.
So that's why I'm working my ass off now to make sure that that number that I made up to this point gets higher. Because I know if I can do that now, I should be able to double or even triple that when we're in a good economy.
Right, exactly. And in that time, you'll even scale more as well.
Oh,
So,
without a doubt. I
even
mean,
if it
right
continues
now,
going bad for however long, it will still continue scaling.
right,
And it will be
right.
so huge when it goes good. Yeah.
And I mean, it's a good time when things are bad to build. Like, let me do this. Let me build this. Let me make this better. Like, I've got the time. I've got the resources and the help out of Hustlers University, which I think it should be more than $50. That is like a key to Willy Wonka's chocolate factory. If you put in the work and do the right thing, you can't fail.
Yeah, I heard that a lot during these interviews that I do. That
I'm
wow,
sure.
they're surprised that it's not more. Okay, so how different are the is the material within the real world compared to what you can find out on the internet?
You can find everything on the internet, whether it's good or not, is the problem. I mean, I get good and bad fitness advice or knowledge all day on what I read, and this is the space that I work in. So comparatively, so that you don't have to sift through a bunch of crap and figure out on your own what's good and what's not, why wouldn't you want to listen to somebody who's making multi millions of dollars, for instance, in something you want to do or want to do to make money, like copywriting, for instance? It's easy if you can sit there and you can do the work. I'm real hyper. I like to be in the gym. That's not for me. But I know kids making hundreds of thousands of dollars per year in that same exact course. So if you had to put it on where the better information is, it's going to be Hustlers University all day. And that's not just because I'm in it. That's just because you can't. I've looked. I've tried to find other. I've hired coaches. I've looked for other people, other gurus, and it's just all been bullshit.
Hmm. Right. What would you say was the biggest challenge you faced when when you were implementing lessons from the real world into your business?
Um, I guess it'd be unjustifiable to say the work because you're literally told step by step what to do. I guess if anything, the hardest thing to do, I guess the hardest part would have been the creativity part behind it. Learning what I think looks good may not be what everybody else thinks looks good, and I think that was the part of, all right, well, my reels need to look this way. This font needs to be this way. It's those little minute details that was the hardest part. Just remembering everything that I learned because there is so much.
Okay, very fair. And what insights come to mind from the real world? It could have been any campus. Maybe you saw a professor AMA, maybe a lesson that just stands out to you. What would it
Stands
be?
out in what way?
Yeah.
Because it's all very
So, because right now it's nice that you've explained what helps you, but there haven't been any specifics in terms of what from the real world really stood out to you specifically. So it could be again anything. Maybe it was a lesson or something you heard a professor say. Maybe something you saw in the chats. Does anything come to mind?
the most impactful things that have been on Side Hustlers University has been the things that Tate's been saying.
Hmm.
Those always leave an imprint, especially with him being in jail and still getting messages. That was what left the biggest impact. Because obviously, I mean, he's in jail, but the time that he took the time to have somebody, right in there to make sure, to keep us motivated. That was that was amazing.
Hmm. Okay.
That stuck out.
So let's go a bit more into that. What kind of an impact has Tate had on you since you've discovered him?
So there's not a lot of guys like that out left. I'm obviously not a multimillionaire, but I've had a very hard and very traumatic life, much like him. And there's not a lot of guys, especially in my friend group, that I'm not only able to relate to, but that I look up to and want to be like, that pushes me to do better.
Hmm.
They, I mean, he's obviously not directly in front of me or around me, but I know those videos, what he would be saying when I don't want to get out of bed at 4:30 in the morning to go work out. I know exactly what he would be saying just from watching so many videos. So he's much like, I mean, I met my mentor, Rich Piana, before he passed. So I can't say that he's like a mentor, but he is like a teacher that's not there.
Hmm. Okay, fair. And now I'd like to go back to the beginning where you were
Okay.
talking about your story.
Mm.
I'm wondering how much of it is mindset, getting through like a near death pretty much experience. You've had so many close calls. So how much of it do you think is mindset to get through it and not give up? Let's say someone who really believes they could get through it, does that help them get through a situation like that? Other than, let's say, if they become a victim to it, and then their bodies actually would refuse to recover because of it. Does that make sense?
Yeah, your mind controls your body. If you believe that you can get through something and that, like, you can't just think it like, oh yeah, my life's going to get better. No, you have to not only believe it wholeheartedly, like almost foolishly. Like, you know how many people told me when I was just wanting to be a personal trainer and they didn't even know if I'd be able to like function normally. I'm getting told by family members that I need to just relax. You know how you have to shut all that out. You have to believe it in yourself that you have it within you to accomplish whatever that goal is, whether it's physical, whether it's business, education, making money, relationships, women. It's all a mindset thing. You, so many people are at war with their own mind, and I can't understand it why they don't make it their greatest ally. So I think it's 100%. Your body will try to give up before your mind does. You can tell your body to keep going.
Hmm.
Look at David Goggins. It's a mindset. It's a mentality. It's a I won't give up.
Hmm. And it's very true. The mind giving up before body. If you've been through a very intense training session with a coach who's a very good coach, then
Yeah,
this is to the viewer, then you'd know you would have given up sooner than if that coach wasn't there, you definitely would have given up sooner. But because of that coach, you actually pushed through further and found out
mhm.
that you're capable of a lot more than you thought you were. So just that right there, something like a intense training session can prove that. So you're saying even that correlates to a near death experience where maybe a doctor could say, maybe your legs won't even function for the rest of your life. But if you foolishly believe that you could go through it, there's a higher chance that you will and recover. Do you think that still applies, even in a case like that?
Without a doubt. I mean, I have friends in the military with one leg that still kick open doors. So it's where's your head at?
Hmm.
Are you really built the way you say you are? Because life will teach you if you are or not.
Right. Okay. It's very interesting to speak in like someone like you because clearly you've gone through a lot, even through your stories, and your body shows it as well. How much you push yourself, how much you've achieved, how much you've overcome. So it's clear that in order to go through all of that, you do need that strong mindset, which seems to be lacking in today's society.
It really is, and it's sad.
Hmm. How would you teach that to someone to have a stronger mindset?
I don't know if it can be verbally taught rather than physically.
Hmm.
Like, I think you really have to go through things, smaller things in succession, and then think about, all right, so I'll tell it to you like this. If I'm out in the cold, I'm in the field, we're on mission, it's 20 below, I wouldn't have been able to get through that if I didn't think about the time that it was a little bit warmer than that when I had it just a little bit better. And I thought I wouldn't be able to make it through that, but I did. And now it's just a little bit colder, but I thought I couldn't make it through, but I know I can.
Hmm.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, yeah, it does.
So
And
it's like,
yep.
go ahead.
Do you still draw upon those experiences even now, so many years later?
Oh, without a doubt. Because I'll think about the hard times I'm going through now, like when I don't want to go to the gym. This has always been a big one. I remember crying, laying in a bed, just trying to get out of it, wanting to walk down the hallway because I refused to be told at 26 years old that I'm not going to be able to walk. So that pain right there is what drives me to say to hell with it. We're going to do this.
Mhm.
And you just get it made up in your mind. And then that's before you know it, that's what's happening.
Wow. So it's still so clear to you, even so many years later.
It's
Right.
you go through traumatic things like I have and like people in my situation have. And I like to say it's just the right amount of trauma to either make yourself something great or make yourself a nobody.
Mhm. Right, right, right. Again, that's mindset because you can either become a victim to it or go through those demons or whatever you want to call it to try overcome it and become
Right.
the strong, is it like a much stronger person? Oh yeah, just give into it and become a victim.
I've never studied a successful person who is anything would want to be like
Hmm.
that hasn't been through an immense amount of struggle, of trauma, and then still come out on the other side, like Keanu Reeves, for instance, or David Goggins, people like that, Tate, people who actually fought brave. They were scared, but they did it anyway. Like that's important. And those are the people that I wanted to be around. And that's why I think that your network is so important and why kids now, you may not have that around your environment. I didn't. I don't now. I live in Florida. I mean, I've got G's around me now, so we're good. But at first, when I first moved here, I didn't know anybody. So HU or the real world, however you want to call it, was the best move I could have made. And again, I'll say it again. I wish I would have made it sooner.
Hmm. Right. Okay, I love that conversation. So now to where do you see your trajectory heading in the short term, medium term, and long term since you're on this path now?
Well, short term, we're building like social media, so I'd like to be going viral a lot more within the next 6 months, which I'm sure I can achieve. I've got a lot of help with guys out of Hustlers University, which are absolutely amazing. Shout out you guys, you know who you are. Within that short term goal, I'd obviously like to increase what revenue I'm bringing in. And then luckily, because I am a sponsored athlete, I don't have to spend always so much. So I plan on putting a lot of what I am making back into my other businesses. Um, as far as I would want to say midterm goals, so like middle of next year, I would like to be pulling in 15 to 20K months again. I was doing 10 to 12 when things were good, and that was easy money. I wasn't even working half as hard as I am. So now that I have all these tools and resources at my disposal, I'm hoping to jack that number up. And I should be able to jack that number up without an issue as long as I keep working like I am. I'm working like crazy over here. Long term goals. Long term goals, I'm looking for like 30 million liquid. I want to be able to retire my mom. I want to be able to just go do what I want. I mean, I can do that now, but I still have certain constraints that I'm not completely geographically free. Now, I have a lot more goals inside these goals, but I did want to give a rough breakdown of maybe like the
All right.
best one in each category.
Okay. Uh, Sounds good. And I'll want to hold you accountable to them by doing follow up interviews in future. Every
Perfect.
maybe 3 or 4 months, checking on your progress, see how you're doing, give us an update. I think that would be
Perfect.
really cool. And now to end off, for people who might think the real world is a scam for the $50, but they're debating whether or not they should join, what advice would you have to them?
If you can't spare $50 a month to take a chance to make your life better, you don't deserve it. Straight up. Be a loser. Somebody's got to wash my car. Somebody's got to clean my houses. And somebody's got to help my dude who owns a meal prep company cook my food. So you want to be a loser? So be it. If you can't find it in your budget to maybe cut out Starbucks or Netflix, if your life isn't worth it, stay a loser.
Straight up. Just, yeah, fair enough. Okay. So if the people want to find out more about you, I'll contact you. Where can they do so?
Oh man. So I will give you guys my Instagram. It is the one place that you can just find. Well, actually, you can find all my links everywhere, but go to my Instagram at Coach Mayhem underscore official. That's the same as my YouTube. And then I've got a little beacons link in there that you can click on. You can find all my sponsors. You can find all ways to save money on fitness stuff through more of my sponsors. Um, everything's there.
Awesome. So yeah, we'll add that to the description of the video. And yeah, Chris, thank you for your time. Really enjoyed this conversation. Loved
Thank you,
delving
brother.
into your story and then into the mindset aspects as well. I think that was a big one, hopefully useful to people. And yeah, I look
I
forward
hope
to the follow up.
I do too, man. I appreciate you and I thank you for having me on.